So in Boston, police have announced that they're doing something called Operation Clean Sweep. Now, it started on August 2nd, and basically it's in reaction to a county corrections officer who was allegedly struck during a fight involving a number of homeless people in a place called Methadone Mile. So the police department reacted to this and were outraged and said, okay, well now we're just going to crack down on the entire homeless population. And so what they're doing is terrible. Now, we can talk a little bit about even the name of what they're attempting here. Like, the best possible interpretation of Operation Clean Sweep is, oh, we think the streets are dirty and we're going to try to clean them up, like literally, like get rid of trash or whatever. But as Adam Johnson pointed out, it could be that, like, that is like almost genocidal rhetoric, like Operation Clean Sweep, as in the homeless people are trash and we got to take out the trash. So that is very sketchy. Now, we've argued and we'll continue to argue there's a much better way to deal with the homelessness crisis, and it certainly is not to give the police carte blanche, because when all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail, so they're going to try to handle it in a very authoritarian way. Certainly not the best way to approach this, but nonetheless, that's what they're doing. And the logical result is you have police destroying wheelchairs for homeless people. So there's a guy, I believe his name is Jared there, and he got hit by a car recently, and he needs that wheelchair in order to really be mobile, and the police threw out his wheelchair, along with 2 other wheelchairs, and they're also taking all of their belongings and just throwing them away. So a lot of these homeless people have backpacks that have all their belongings in it, and the cops are just stealing them and throwing them away. Your tax dollars. This is how they're being spent. It actually saves money to put a roof over every homeless person's head. So knowing that that's the case, not only do you have the proper answer from a moral perspective and an ethical perspective, you also have the proper answer from a fiscal perspective. So I can't for the life of me understand why we wouldn't have a national program that addresses this in a serious way. Furthermore, you have hundreds of thousands of homeless people. You also have about 50,000 homeless veterans on the streets, which is only like the clearest example of a out-and-out failure of the government to give a shit about very basic things. You have people who literally fought. In their mind, they think, I'm fighting for my country, for America. I'm looking out for my country. And then when they get back, their country doesn't look out for them. Not even a little bit. They're on the streets, nowhere to go. And a lot of these people have problems. There's drug addiction. There's mental illness. So all of this stuff needs to be addressed. All of it needs to be addressed. We should have, honestly, as part of Medicare for All, we should have mental health. We should have drug rehab. And that is part of the Medicare for All bill that Bernie Sanders is pushing. But think about how little we care about homeless people and how little the government does to actually try to improve this situation right now. To the point where this is considered action to tackle the homelessness issue. Give police carte blanche to do whatever the hell they want, throw out their belongings, throw out their wheelchairs, and just basically try to, through brute force, get them off the streets. If you support that approach, just admit that you have fully dehumanized these people in your mind. You don't even view them as people. You don't believe in civil liberties. You don't believe in constitutional rights. You fully dehumanize them and you treat them as less than human. You treat them like they're animals. Just admit that. If this is your approach and you say, hey man, at least the streets are clean now. By the way, nobody's not in favor of the streets being clean. The question is, what do you do to address the homelessness issue? Do you do it by putting a gun to all their heads and saying, get the fuck out of here or I murder you? Is that the right way to address it? I would hope every reasonable person goes, yeah, I wouldn't do that. Or do you address it by saying, hey, We have rehab over here. We have a mental health facility over here. We have, if you want a roof over your head, here's a place, a safe place for you to go at night. And, you know, there are ways to address this that are not incredibly draconian and primitive. But we're doing the draconian and primitive thing, and cops are also bragging about it to the point where they're literally throwing out wheelchairs for injured homeless people, and they don't think twice about it. What do you do when it's the cops who are the ones that are really acting in the illegal and immoral and unjust way? I mean, the argument from a lot of people, the authoritarian perspective is no. What they do is right by definition because they're the ones with the uniform and the badge. Okay. Then just be honest about what you support. You support rank, pure authoritarianism, because that's what this is.